Ashley Manning, and this is the Careers in Cannabis show. Today we're visiting with Chef Matt at his kitchen in Long Beach, where he's gonna whip us up a CBD-infused New York strip steak, as well as a side of veggies. And he's gonna share a little bit about why and how he got into a career in cannabis. Hey, welcome back. Hey, Chef Matt.
How you doing, Ashley? Always good to see you.
You too, you too. So we're cooking up a New York strip steak with a side of veggies. You want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're going to do a marinade for the strip loin, so we can get all infused all on the inside. We're going to do some vegetable pasta, and we're going to make it all come together really fast.
Awesome. Very excited to be here today on this special edition of Careers in Cannabis. You are my first interviewee.
Oh my God.
As you're cooking, I'd love to just ask you some questions.
Of course.
But I'd love to start at the beginning of your career.
Okay.
Where did you go to school? Did you go to school to learn how to cook with cannabis?
No, there really is no school for cooking with cannabis. We're working on that, but as of right now, there is no school for cooking with cannabis.
So where would a chef go to find information on how to cook with cannabis?
Man, that's a good question. It really, research, talking to other people, that are doing it. There's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of things you can do wrong. You can cook the cannabis out of the oils and stuff by just getting it too hot, if you know what I mean. And if you're not activating the cannabis before you infuse it. So there's a lot of things that, can go wrong. You could potentially overdose somebody, if you don't really know what you're doing. So it's a lot to it. It's more than just adding cannabis to food. It's, a little science behind it.
Well, I'd love to learn a little bit more about that as you're cooking. That's
most definitely
what this show shows. So
definitely.
Very excited. We've got tomatoes, zucchini, squash.
Yeah, so we're going to get this pan hot.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is, essentially, you would have this marinated overnight.
Okay.
Or a couple hours before. But what I'll do is I'll put this here. Ash, why don't you pour a little bit of chili oil in here? And I'd probably add about 2 tablespoons of chili oil in here.
2 tablespoons.
Right there. And then you want to
add. Is this your brand?
That's my brand.
Awesome. CBDailyEats.
Right.
Awesome.
And you want to add a pinch of a little more. And we need one more thing to add to this to kick it up a notch. We're going to add a little bit of soy sauce in here. It's about a tablespoon.
That's a good marinade.
Yeah.
It helps tenderize the meat, right?
That it does.
I know a thing or two about cooking.
A little bit. And then you just like to take this and get all the air out of it. Mix it around real good.
Let that soak that overnight, or just for like 15, 20 minutes?
No, this really needs to sit for 4 to 6 hours. That way the proteins have a chance to absorb, and go into the meat. And then what I have right here is another one we pre-did yesterday. I have it right here.
It smells good already. What is this? Just your home seasoning?
Yeah, it's just a home season. I'm gonna make a recipe for that to show people, But it's just onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, chili powder, cumin, some dried herbs, and just a little bit of salt.
These kind of dry herbs in there?
Yeah. So that's what it could look like.
That looks phenomenal already. I like my steak rare. How do you like yours?
Yeah, I like my steak rare too.
Perfect. Holds that flavor in there, I think.
That it does. So we just want to let this pot get hot. And one of the beautiful things about it, you don't really need to add any more oil in here because we added oil in the marinade.
Right.
So we'll drop it straight into the pan, and we should be good right about now.
So when you finished learning about how to cook with cannabis, what did you do after that? Were you, I know a little bit about your personal background, but I know you've been a celebrity chef.
That's a term people like to throw around, but I don't know what makes you a celebrity chef. I've cooked for a few people and done a few things, but
you say that you're very humble about it, though.
I mean, it's just, I'm just a guy that loves to cook. Have I cooked for a few celebrities? Yeah. Have I done a lot of stuff? Yeah, but I don't know if that quite makes you a celebrity chef.
Well, I hope that a lot of their meals were cannabis-infused meals.
Yep, some of them were.
Majority? What was your favorite one? No need to name drop, but what was your favorite one?
Probably like the cannabis gumbo and Yeah, probably the cannabis gumbo, and sometimes, you know, the cannabis steaks are really interesting, if you know what I mean.
Earlier you mentioned about cooking, you can cook the cannabis, the cannabinoids out of
You can.
it. Is there a specific temperature someone should look at when cooking a steak particularly?
I mean, I can only speak for, you know, my oils that I've had tested. I can't, you know, really speak on everybody else's, but we made the oils and heated them up to different temperatures, and we're able to get up to about 360, 370 degrees before we start losing, you know, the milligrams.
Okay.
You know, so I think different oils and different cannabis is all going to have its own thing, but from the research that we've done and stuff, you know, we realize that anything above 350 is kind of getting in the danger zone.
Okay. Meaning just gets rid of, it's a waste of cannabis, or?
Well, not necessarily a waste, but you might start cooking out, you know, the milligrams and all the good stuff, you know, that's in it.
So we have Thanksgiving coming up and we have Christmas coming up.
Right.
I know that's a very popular time for chefs and catering, and this year with the pandemic, you know, what does that look like for you? Is it any different?
I've retired from catering.
Okay.
No more cater for me. Don't have the time, and just, I mean, I've catered for 20 years. So I've kind of catered for almost everybody I've wanted to cater for. And now it's just more about building the brand and content and stuff like that. And, you know.
Well, speaking of brand, I know you have your own brand here. Where can some of the people that are listening find your brand?
You can get them at chefmattcooks.com.
Okay. And what kind of products do you have?
We have the Chef Matt olive oil. We have the Chef Matt honeys. And then for CB Daily Eats, we have the chili oil, the vegetable oil, the balsamic vinaigrette, the barbecue sauce.
Wow.
And
those contain THC and CBD, or just CBD?
The CB Daily Eats is all CBD. The Chef Matt, we're licensed for cannabis in a few states.
Okay.
And so you can get the Chef Matt product with CBD or cannabis depending on what state you're in.
Okay. Have to check that out online, and sounds like I can have a whole culinary oils that I need to cook with at home.
That you can. So let's put some little bit of oil in here, a little bit of vegetable oil, and then get this garlic out the way real quick. Ash, what you can do is you can dump this vegetables in here.
All right. I always get splashed.
Always get splashed. You know what you did wrong?
It's too hot?
No, you poured it to you.
It
could always
okay.
go away. So it splashes the other way.
Explains a lot. So what's your favorite meal to make infused with cannabis?
I don't really have a favorite. I just love cooking. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter who it's for.
And that's because you can put cannabis in anything you're cooking.
Yeah.
But what would be some meals you wouldn't recommend? Like, do the terpenes in the cannabis, do they interact with some food where you're like, that was just not a good mix? No? So anything? I haven't
found anything that
interesting.
Doesn't work.
Cannabis never fails.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna let this cook down a little bit before we add the vegetables to it.
And I do know that if you add the vegetables too soon, it makes them soggy. And I made it this weekend, actually. Spaghetti squash.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was very mushy.
Very mushy. Yeah, you just gotta find that perfect.
It's like a minute, it seems like.
Yeah, because people don't realize, like, once you're done, once you take it off the heat, it's still going to continue to cook for, you know, a few more minutes. So at the point it's where you want it, you've already overcooked it.
So as career in cannabis, would you consider this a career in cannabis? I mean, you're a chef.
Right. Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
And would you recommend other chefs to also get engaged with the communities and see how they can also incorporate cannabis into their gourmet cooking?
Of course, there's already, you know, a wide variety of chefs that are in the same space, and I mean, it's beautiful. You know, you have some people doing it right, you have some people doing it wrong, but well,
I think we're doing it the right way today.
Right. You know, I love to see it.
Very exciting times, I think, ahead for the industry in terms of growth. We've just begun.
Right.
And so anybody who's looking for a career in cannabis, this is a great time to just start thinking about what you were doing before and figure out how you can incorporate that into cannabis. Exactly. The tech industry, I think cannabis is growing a lot faster than tech was.
Yeah.
And 5 more states legalized, so that's 5 more states of opportunities to grow your company if you are. What states are you in? I know
we're in Oklahoma and we're in California right now, working on finishing a deal in Arizona.
Nice.
And we're trying to get to New York and a few other states. So there's a lot of discussions going on.
Wow.
Just trying to work out the details.
Congratulations on that. New
Appreciate it.
York, being that they don't allow any smoking products, edibles, way to go.
Right. No,
Infusing, it's a perfect way to introduce people into cannabis is through food and the beverages. And
I agree.
I know that's how I got my grandmother.
That's how you got her in
It was a CBD infused olive oil, and then also had a cannabis infused wine for her.
Go.
She had no idea, and she felt great after.
That's why I recommend that with CBD, but I never recommend giving somebody cannabis and not telling them.
No. It smells good. Now, we didn't infuse the vegetables, right?
Nah, well, yeah, we did. We added a little bit of olive oil.
That's right.
Olive oil to that.
How could someone prevent from over infusing their meal because they're just getting started? So how would someone keep that from happening?
Well, you know, with CBD, you don't have so much to worry about that. But with cannabis, it's just knowing you have to get a reputable cannabis oil. You know, with so many people making it at home themselves, they're guessing the milligrams.
Right.
If it hasn't been lab tested, I don't care who you think you are, you can't. I mean, I've been doing it since, what, 94? And if you think you can throw some oil with some cannabis in there and tell somebody what the milligrams is, you're sadly mistaken.
So somebody went to the dispensary and bought 1/8 of cannabis. It was tested. It shows the THC content. They made the butter at home. Now they're ready to start infusing it. Would they base it off the cannabinoids from the cannabis that they bought in the dispensary?
Yes and no. We're doing that right now. We're taking a bunch of different eighths and in a certain amount of butter to ratio and a bunch of different, and we're testing that method to see if there's going to be some consistency in it. And working with the lab right now, we're doing that. But right now it's almost like, again, you might need to get that butter tested at the end so you know.
Yeah.
And if you're making it for yourself, so be it. But at the point you're giving it to somebody else, I'd almost insist that it has to be tested, because there's a big difference between 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, and 40 milligrams. And that's why everybody has these horrible edible stories.
Yeah, you were sharing one with me earlier.
Yeah.
Woo, that was on air, live.
That was on air, yeah.
Can't imagine.
So, we're pretty much done.
Awesome. I'm hoping it's gonna be good, but I know it will be because you made it. We're on our fifth meal you've made with us with Trichomes.
I don't know how many.
I think this is our 5th or 6th one. So haven't failed me yet. And I've also been told to leave your meat cool on the plate for 5 minutes.
Yeah, just let it rest a little bit, because right now the blood and the juices are kind of everywhere. You want to let it relax, so that, because if we cut it now, all the juice is going to run out. So you just want to let it relax for a second, so all the juices go back to where they're supposed to be.
That explains it.
Let's see. Let's go like this. Take some of this.
A little whiff of this and a little whiff of that.
Right.
It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, and so this would be the best breakfast I've had.
A little bit of egg with it and be good to go.
Awesome. Ready?
Let's go for it.
Cut it in over here. Oh yeah. Perfect. I won't take too big of a bite.
On camera, huh? Works.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
That is delicious. Very good. I'm gonna get a little bit of tomato in here. That's probably gonna be hot, huh?
Yeah. Burst in your mouth.
That too. So for other chefs out there, any tips you would give them when looking for a career in cannabis? Like, should they start their own company? Should they just get into it and try experimenting at home? What's some advice you would have for them?
It depends on if you're asking me about a chef or a cook. Somebody's looking to, there's a difference between a cook and a chef.
I don't know.
There's a difference between a security guard and a police officer, and there's a difference between a nurse and a doctor, and there's a difference between a cook and a chef.
Maybe you should explain that for our listeners.
Chef is, somebody that has, years of experience underneath his belt, has ran teams. Not only is he good, he makes everybody around him better, if you know what I mean. He's able to command a line, during chaos. Really not a chef if you've only been cooking for yourself, and that title is thrown around so much now. Everybody's throwing the chef name, the chef in front of their name, or call themselves a cannabis chef.
So if they are a chef looking to get into cannabis, where would you recommend them to go then?
I would say
perfect amount of garlic in there.
I don't know, it's hard to say, I really say, kind of just do your research. There's a lot of research. You have to understand, cannabis and what it does to the body. And because you're a chef, you're going to kind of understand the science of food. And you're just bringing in another element of science to cooking with
another
cannabis.
Ingredient.
Right, just another ingredient, and you just have to, find that medium. You have to know when to add it to the meal, when not to add it to the meal, because say like if we just would have poured this in the pan and cooked the steak, well, the steak wouldn't have absorbed any of that, CBD or cannabis. So, by us taking the time to marinate it, it gave the protein a chance to absorb the CBD, and what little bit of loss that occurs on the outside is not really a big deal because the majority of it went to the inside. So just knowing, when to add it and when not to.
All right. Well, thank you again, Chef Matt. I'm going to finish up this steak and the vegetables here and be on with my day. And I look forward to the next time we catch back up.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Chef Matt.
Always.